eyes must be on Rafah. That is the message that hundreds of students, faculty, and staff at Harvard have been uplifting through principled action. This message, this commitment to Palestinian liberation, is what the Harvard administration has been suppressing since October.
A student protester at Harvard University accusing school administrators this week of silencing Palestinian supporters since the war broke out between Israel and Hamas last year. Joining us now, professor at the Harvard Kennedy and Business Schools, Arthur Brooks. Arthur, it's great to see you as always. We're talking about happiness today. Let's talk about happiness and why it feels like not just Harvard. We were saying in the break, this is a university-wide concern right now. Kids aren't happy. Why?
This is a countrywide concern. You actually see an increase in mental illness or the symptoms of mental illness, anxiety and depression. But you also see a gradual decline in happiness across the adult population going back to 1990 in this country gradually. This is because of, declines in institutions like faith and family and friendship and work. But more than that, it's these storms, the way that we've become attached to social media, the political polarization in the country, the loneliness that came from COVID, all these things together have been especially acute among young people and especially at universities. And all these things together with the activism on campus has led to this current milieu.
And when you write in your piece, Make Harvard Happy Again, you write that we see a narrowing range of academic freedom and empirical evidence that free speech at Harvard is in decline. You write, the fear is real. What do students feel in those lecture halls?
Well, it's not in every lecture hall, to be sure. I mean, I lecture on the science of happiness, and there's a very happy atmosphere, at least I hope so. And the truth is that all different professors are doing it in different ways. The problem is kind of the culture that says that one side is right and the other side is evil, which is not Harvard. I mean, it's across the academic world, and it's been bubbling up for the last 15 or 20 years. That's the best way to make students unhappy, is to say that your friends, your former friends who disagree with you, they're denying your humanity and you should hate them. What better way to create misery than to tell people they have to hate their fellow students?
Yeah, I mean, we were saying in the break, there's almost a TikTok orthodoxy, particularly lately. And if you express an argument against that, a fact-based argument against that, they'll call you a bigot. Then they'll effectively silence you or run you out of the classroom in some cases.
It can be a problem. And the good news is that we're starting to figure this out. My colleagues and I at Harvard and many universities around the country, a lot of administrators, too, are saying, okay, we got to do something. And they are. And so we're looking for more academic freedom, more discourse across difference. When I talk to alumni of my university, they loved the place. Why? Because they were being challenged. Not because it was a safe space intellectually, but because it was an unsafe space. And for the first time, they met people who were different than they did, who thought differently. They loved their professors who challenged them. And that's what we need to get back to. You want to make Harvard happy again? Or, by the way, you want to make America happy again? We need to start loving people who disagree with us.
So let's widen the aperture a bit on this, on the happiness factor. If you bump into people 35, 45 years of age who have been out there in the marketplace working, raising a family and everything like that, they might be bitching about the cost of groceries or the cost of gasoline, but they're basically relatively happy. If you see people 20, 25 years old, they seem all to be unhappy, or most of them be unhappy. What is the deal there?
Well, part of it has to do with the fact that people who are older were brought up in an environment that were more likely to have religious faith or something like philosophy or religious faith around their lives. They were more likely to have family formation. People are less likely to get married and have kids, which is a killer for happiness. People are less likely to have close friendships than when you and I were that age. I mean, they'll have deal friends at work, but not real friends in life. And last but not least, the relationship they have with work is changing. Then, of course, you add in the toxic brew of social media, hatred in politics, loneliness from the coronavirus epidemic. And, this has created a really bad environment for young people today.
I'm getting unhappy listening to
No, man, it's going to be okay. Because, look, once we surface these ideas, once we talk about this, we can create a Morning Joe. We can have a happiness rebellion, man.
I like that.
Start one with Oprah, since you wrote a book with her. But so you're talking about how free speech is stifled among students on these campuses, and they
sometimes is.
And so how does that contribute to general intellectual discourse and just the exchange of ideas and learning and growth, and also a capacity for forgiveness when someone does express an odious idea, and for people to learn.
Yeah.
Is there as much of a cancel culture within the student body?
That's a huge problem because it really weakens the whole structure of the education we're trying to give people. Again, the idea is to have an unsafe intellectual space on university campuses where we can like each other but hear challenging ideas. That's how people grow and learn. It's also how people get happier. That's one of the things that people look back to with the most sentimentality and the greatest fondness in their college experiences. But when you don't do that, they're not educated as well. They come out of college under those circumstances, not knowing what the other side thinks. Can you imagine going through life thinking all these people, half of America, what a bunch of idiots? You can't live that way because you're actually ignorant of the actual cultural environment in your own country.
So how do we break through those silos? Because it's so easy right now, thanks to the phones and social media, to only deal with your fellow travelers and to not see someone who you disagree with as a fellow human being.
Yeah, it's super important that those of us who are in leadership roles, administrators, professors, and people in media, people in politics, that we start talking openly about the fact that it's not right for people not to be exposed to different points of view. We need to we have to be a kind of a joyful representation of people who disagree with us. We have to model this kind of behavior of loving people and being respectful to people with whom we disagree, because that kind of modeling is going to be observed by the next generation of Americans. On the contrary, if we're running our institutions, which some are in media, politics, even academia, with this kind of dark triad of narcissistic, Machiavellian, even psychopathic leaders who say, I want power, and the way I'm going to get it is by manipulating you into hating your enemies. That's where we are in this country today. If we can strike back against that dark triad personality characteristics that we see among leaders, then we start to win.
Arthur Brooks leading the Happiness Rebellion. I love that. Mike,
Right on.
join up, man. Join up.
I'm an original member.
Founding member.
And by the way, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, so it's a great time to have these conversations. Professor at the Harvard Kennedy and Business Schools, Arthur Brooks. Arthur, always great to have you at the table.